I'm standing outside the Max Factor building in Hollywood, California, the current home to the Hollywood Museum. Now I wanted to do a review of a Ghostbusters game, seeing as they've got a brand new movie coming out, Ghostbusters Afterlife. So what we've got inside is my little treat to cue that up. So while I'm not afraid of any ghosts, I am afraid of the homeless around here because they do tend to be a little stabby, so let's go on inside. Alright, today we're going to be taking a look at the often overlooked Ghostbusters 2 video game on the PC. But before we do, I wanted to share this quick walkthrough of the brand new Ghostbusters exhibit from the Hollywood Museum, which features props from each Ghostbusters movie, even including items from the soon-to-be-released Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's some really neat stuff, and if you're a fan of the films, there's plenty here you'll recognize. And after this quick look, we'll hop back in for the game review. Thank you to the good people at the Hollywood Museum for making this possible, and if you're ever in the area, be sure to check in for a visit. Are you troubled by strange noises of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic? Have you or your family actually seen a spook, specter, or ghost? If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Just pick up the phone and call the professionals. Ghostbusters. As a young kid, I was captivated by everything Ghostbusters. The movie, the cartoon, the merchandise. I was a ghost head for sure. And when the news of a sequel broke out, I couldn't wait for it to hit the theaters. And at the time, I was mostly playing games on my computer and couldn't be more excited to find out Ghostbusters 2 would be getting its very own video game, washing away the disappointment of the horrid NES game that followed the first movie.
I, Vigo, the Scourge of Carpathia.
Ghostbusters 2 was published in 1989 by Activision for various computer platforms, and follows the plotline of the movie exceptionally well. Your ultimate goal is to stop Vigo the Carpathian from inhabiting the body of Oscar Barrett, thus taking over the world. In this game, there's no time for a bench test, and appropriately enough, the game starts you off in the courtroom to do battle with the ghost of the Scoleri brothers. Nunzio and Tony Scoleri were convicted murderers sentenced to death via the electric chair by Judge Stephen the Hammer Wexler. Your job is to save the day by trapping both brothers, which in turn puts you back in business. The ghost-busting mechanics of the game are pretty straightforward. You track the ghost with your proton pack and blast away. When you've drained enough power, you'll be able to wrangle the ghost into the trap. Your hurdles include a temperature gauge where if you blast away haphazardly, your proton pack can overheat, which will force you to give it a rest for a second. Also, the ghosts in this game throw ectoplasmic balls at you, and if they get you, it'll drain your energy. And finally, aside from the primary ghost you're doing battle with, a blue Slimer will pop up at random with the intent to peg you with his ball of ectoplasm.
Two in the box! Ready to go! We be fast and they be slow!
The real charm of this game comes in the form of all the voice clips, catchphrases, and cutscenes lifted straight from the movie. Cutscenes in the form of newspaper headlines update you on progress as you advance through the game, and all these elements really help immerse you into the story. Your two main objectives before moving on to face Vigo are to bust ghosts and collect slime, which you then use to conduct audio tests on until you're able to find 3 stabilized slime samples. You need to bust ghosts to earn a total of $55,000. Apparently that's the going deposit rate on a Statue of Liberty rental. There are 3 different locations where you can bust ghosts: Central Park and the Docks, which were both featured in the movie, and Northrom's department store, which is clearly a take on Nordstrom's. As a kid, the Nordstrom's level was my favorite because if you accidentally blast open one of the changing room doors, it reveals a topless lady in skimpy panties covering up her ample bosom. And believe me, at 10 years old, that was enough to positively charge my slime. As for collecting slime, you're dangled on a tether deep below the city, into the Van Horn Pneumatic Transit Station to scoop up samples from the river of slime. You're able to swing back and forth to avoid flying ghosts, or to wriggle free from ghostly hands that try to drag you into the slimy abyss. Once collected, you use a CD player to test the effects of different types of music on the slime. Bad samples explode, while stabilized slime is put aside for future use. You need 3 good samples to close out that objective, and at no time are you obligated to sleep with the slime. If you lose either a ghost-busting job or fail at a slime collection, then that Ghostbuster is sent to Parkview Mental Ward. As one of the other Ghostbusters, you can choose to rescue the institutionalized character from the ward by rappelling up the building and busting your comrade out, but be careful because you could run the risk of getting caught yourself. Once you collect 3 good slime samples and earn the $55,000 needed to take control of the Statue of Liberty, Egon will have finished making the slime blower, which is used to get the Statue of Liberty in motion, where your goal is to reach the Manhattan Museum of Art, where the Ghostbusters battle Vigo. If I remember correctly, the game came with a map, because every PC game of that era had to come with some ancillary bit of information that was easily lost, making the game impossible to play. But luckily today we have the internet to bridge that gap of lost information. You pilot the Statue of Liberty with a classic NES controller, which is a nice touch. Now in the movie they used the bulkier NES Advantage controller, which was probably not used here in the game as it would have taken up too much real estate on the screen. But in any event, aside from finding a museum, you need to avoid squashing oncoming traffic underfoot. I think if I saw the Statue of Liberty lurching towards me, I'd ditch my car, but hey, this is New York and they're not afraid to drive like assholes. Once you reach a museum, you rappel through the skylight and do battle with Vigo. And provided you didn't leave any of your teammates back in the mental ward, you'll have all 4 Ghostbusters at your disposal. The ghostbusting mechanics remain the same, and the only time you're able to hurt Vigo is when he's in the painting. Once he's been zapped enough, Vigo will manifest into a giant floating head, where you'll have the opportunity to cover him in slime. After Vigo has been sufficiently covered in a dripping slime facial, he's defeated. Old Lang Syne will ring out and the painting of Vigo will melt away to reveal the painting of Slimer holding Oscar, as opposed to the fettuccine painting featured in the movie. Once Vigo's defeated, there are a few more cutscenes to close out the game, and that pretty much does it for Ghostbusters 2 on the PC. The gameplay is relatively easy, and from beginning to end, the game can be defeated fairly quickly, so there's not a ton of replay value, but if you're a fan of the Ghostbusters franchise, it's definitely a fun game that's worth it simply for the nostalgia factor. Now, since this is a PC game from 1989, originally produced on a floppy disk, I have no idea where most people would be able to play this game today. But games seem to be resurrected frequently online, so maybe it's out there somewhere. And if it is, I'd suggest giving it a look. And until next time, remember, death is but a doorway, time is but a window, and I'll see you next time.